This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Illinois. I am here with your marketing coach, Michael. Since 2011, he has provided an affordable solution helping you increase your leads and sales with marketing that actually produces results. I'm joined here with the CEO, the founder. Michael, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Well, it's great to be with you, Gary. Thanks for the opportunity.
I'm going to start off a little bit about yourself. You're formerly educated at Elmhurst University. Your past experience really is vast as a national recruiter, a VP of franchising, and as a franchise consultant for years. You grew the Pearl Vision brand with a new store opening across the United States and Canada many times. In 2011, you founded the Full Circle Consulting Group. Share with me a little bit how your passion for marketing began for you.
Well, marketing is really the key element of businesses, every business, and that's agnostic of product, service, or industry. Okay, but it's not the only element of it. Basically, my real passion, Gary, came in terms of trying to work with and help small to mid-sized businesses. Okay, and in terms of small to mid-sized businesses, one of the things that I've noticed in my career over the years is that pretty much the regardless of product, service, or industry, the issues are the same. It's how do I get more revenue on the top line? And more importantly, how do I bring more revenue to the bottom line? And that's really what I focus on with small to mid-sized businesses. What my passion is, and this sounds somewhat esoteric, but what my real passion is and what I really get a lot of satisfaction from is seeing my work with people make a difference in their lives and their businesses. And it's both. It's not only improving their businesses, but also giving them the opportunity to provide a better lifestyle for their family, to educate their kids. That's something, again, that I can't even put into words what that means to me in terms of knowing that I had just even a little bit of a part in terms of doing that.
Our passions align very much. We both realize the backbone of really small business, of the community out there, is small business. Regardless of the industry, how important is it to position your business as the dominant force so that others know you really are the go-to professional?
Well, that's the absolute critical part. There's actually 12 areas of business in terms of the way I work with clients. There are 12 areas of business that are common to all businesses, again, agnostic of product, service, or industry. And we explore each one of those. My approach is a little bit different because as opposed to trying to make a significant increase in one or two of those, what we look at is making small increases in a number of those 12 areas, which results in taking having a benefit of compounding effect in terms of really being able to exponentially grow business. What you mentioned in terms of what I call one of those 12, which is the first I work with people, is called establishing a market dominating position. Okay, and basically, what your goal is in terms of a market dominating position is to be able to position yourself and communicate to your customers to really address two things going on in their mind. One, they have a problem that they don't want, and second, there's a solution that they don't have. And it's up to us to develop, and that's what I feel to my clients is a way to innovatively look at their business so that we can identify differentiations between them and everyone else in that space to be able to create that market dominating position for them.
Excellent. We're talking 12 points to success right there. Using compounding really benefits folks. By utilizing technology that you really created, you are able to find existing hidden revenue using your profit acceleration software. Share with me a little bit how this works.
Okay, basically, this is an entire software program that not only identifies the areas that are opportunity areas, the 12 that I mentioned, but taking a deeper dive, there's actually 28 more that can be explored. And what I do initially with a client is I offer them a free 45-minute Zoom call in which we can go over probably 2 or 3 at the most. And in every one of those Zoom calls, and this is complimentary, in any one of those Zoom calls, by just exploring 2 or 3 of these areas, we're able to find somewhere between $10,000 and $50,000 in revenue that they hadn't even realized that was a possibility for them. And then my question to them is, okay, if we were able to do that with just looking at 2 or 3, what if we looked at the other initial 9 that comprise the 12? And even more so, what about looking at the 28 that encompass the entire 40 areas that are opportunity areas?
1 or 2 of those is powerful, like you said, but we're talking going deep, exploring all 28. I mean, instead of wasting valuable time, these results are revealed in minutes. I mean, I can't even imagine how that's possible. And our clients pleasantly surprised at what was hidden from them.
Right. Well, and this is not surprising, because what winds up happening, and then we talked to Gary about creating that market dominating position. The thing that gets most in the way is what I've termed over the years. People get locked into an environment of givens. Okay, we do things this way because we always did. We do these things this way because the industry does them this way. Well, those get in the way of identifying what can you present to your customer as a differentiation that's going to mean it's going to be relevant to them, but it's going to distinguish you from everybody else doing what you're doing and in the space that you're doing it, to the point where if identified and presented in the proper way, your clients or potential clients would go, boy, it'd be crazy to do business with somebody else.
Excellent. I've always said what got you to this point is not what's going to get you to the next point. You've got to be able to rethink things like that. I mean, this revolutionary software is not only a time saver, but really it's a money saver as well, because there's really no extra money that's needed for marketing or advertising when you're talking about hidden revenue potential that currently may exist.
That's correct. That's exactly correct. And that software actually goes one extent further. Not only does it identify the areas of opportunity, but in terms of if a client would want to engage me to help coach them through the process of realizing that unrealized revenue, there's an entire coaching aspect of it that really, in terms of identifying the areas, will map out a task list of what people need to do to be able to accomplish everything in each of those categories. And basically, once we've identified them, one of the things they get before we even begin is a complete personalized report that identifies the areas that we talked about, and what we talked about were opportunities for them, and it's personalized to their particular business.
Interesting. And that is great, because the fact we're talking about beyond the software, I want to talk about some of that coaching. I mean, Michael, you are the marketing coach for many. Let's share how your expertise is shared with others. Let's start off with one-on-one coaching. Why is a professional like yourself important to have in your client's corner? I mean, to be able to work with someone like yourself who does this every day.
Well, initially, my first answer I already gave you in terms of that. That's to have somebody be able to take an objective look at their business and look at it innovatively. Okay, and I'll give you a quick example. I did a consulting project with Beltone Electronics, the hearing aids people, and they were establishing another chain of distribution in the Sears Roebuck stores when Sears was still okay. What wound up happening is the Beltone dealers who had the brick and mortar stores in that market ran the Sears stores, but they ran them just like the Beltone dealerships. And the industry says that hearing aid businesses operate from 10 till 6, Monday through Friday. Well, one of the things we noticed, and one of the things that I asked the question about to Sears was how much does Saturday and Sunday represent as a total to your business? And they said 35%. And the way they were running their Sears locations, they didn't even have a presence there on those 2 days. So once we made that change and we had a presence there, again, environment of givens, that's what the industry does. We had a 20% increase almost automatically across the board. Okay. That's kind of what I'm talking about here in terms of the initial initially what I can bring, the most I can bring, I believe, to a client is a perspective on the business that they don't have by being tied up and working on the day-to-day projects that are involved in that business.
I mean,
I guess you could probably summarize it by saying they really emphasize most of their time investment in the tactical side of their business. And what I bring to them is an opportunity to look at it strategically.
I think it was Tony Robbins who said a small change over time can produce amazing results, and that's what you're able to do and you've done. I mean, you humbly said prior that you hope you help people a little bit, each one of the businesses out there, but really you have done this successfully for many years and for many companies. Does your track record speak for itself? I mean, have probably millions been generated with your strategies, would you say?
Yes, and it's been both in terms of I've had a lot of experience within the franchise element or franchise distribution in terms of people choosing that as a course of growing their business, but I've also done it with independents. On the franchise side, probably one of the most significant things I did is earlier in my career, I took a new franchise concept, which was ultimately called Deck the Walls, which dealt with picture frames, artwork, and framing services. I took that from startup to a 250 store chain in 6 years. But while I was proud of that, Gary, the thing I was even more proud of was that the people that bought into that franchise experienced 6 straight years of double-digit growth that averaged 14% over those 6 years, okay, which was double-digit growth over consistently over 6 years. And that's really in terms of my wheelhouse. People have said, well, why not Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 companies? Because my comfort level is more with the small to mid-sized business person. And the reason is because more times than not, you're working directly with the decision maker and you haven't got layers and layers and layers of management to have to go through to get something done. Okay. Not that I won't work with them, don't get me wrong, but my preference is small to mid-sized businesses, and that's why.
Definitely something to be proud of. I mean, I see business owners out there that consider coaching an expense. I mean, but really, this is an investment. I mean, is it wise for an owner to finally realize that? They're investing back in their company. Why would you say that?
Well, I think it is, to answer your question, yes, they should look at it that way. Unfortunately, most people look at it as an expense or a cost on the balance sheet or on the income statement rather than on the balance sheet as an investment. Okay. Part of this software, by the way, in terms of finalizing with a client what the, summarizing what the results of all the improvement ideas we identified are. Part of that is equating and translating and monetizing that into what additional revenues and profits would result from that. And if you and there's one analysis that I do at the end, and that's to list the consulting cost in relationship to the incremental that they're going to have sales and profit wise. And it's under 10%. Of sales and profit is what they would have to invest in terms of coaching with me, in terms of what I do with folks and what I charge. So,
I mean, for those folks out there who are not maybe ready for the intense one-on-one coaching that you provide, how can your weekly group coaching be a good place to learn some of your strategies?
Well, the weekly group coaching really is a more cost-efficient way to do it. The negative to it is that it's not personalized. It's not personalized to their business. It's kind of the difference. You mentioned where I went to school. It's kind of like in a university, and I'm talking about theoretically, this is the way things should work. But practically, because of situations relative to that particular business, those theoretical things might have a whole different dimension and might be totally. So I concentrate more on the one-on-one coaching. It really is not that more cost efficient to do the group coaching than it is the one-on-one. And the thing that I will do is based on the business and their situation. I've got some flexibility in terms of what we can do in terms of the cost. So.
Definitely a lot easier when something like that is customized for your exact business, but really these are time-proven strategies that are going to work for every industry across the board. So therefore the weekly is something they can learn from. Business owners many times, and I find they pride themselves on wearing all the hats. Why is this not a sustainable solution for record level profitability? I mean, is success a team sport, and is it profitable to realize we can't do this all alone?
Well, and that's part of what the coaching does as well, Gary. Okay, because as businesses grow, and I saw this in the franchise side with Deck the Walls, as my franchise grew and franchisees grew and became more successful, I've seen it with independent business people. What's interesting in the irony of it is that as the business grows and becomes more successful on a daily basis, they do less and less of what they got into business for. I mean, they like making the pizzas, right? Okay. But as their business grew, they find that they had to learn things like human resources, like recruiting, like hiring, like leadership. And I do leadership training for companies as well. These are all things that, as you appropriately mentioned, these are things that they find that people find as their business grows that they can't wear all the hats. If they do, what's going to wind up happening is those hats become so heavy that it overloads them, and that's what inhibits the growth that they can experience. So getting people and what I've told many clients, I've told my two boys early on in their careers, business is all about relationships. And the relationships is not only between other business folks, but it's also between you and the team that you have in terms of trying to accomplish what you need to accomplish.
I tell small business people all the time, you focus on what you're good at and let the marketing professionals focus on explaining why you're so good at what you do, and it works just great. I mean, you not only share these strategies, but provide real life examples. I mean, so these can be easily applied. I mean, this can really be a transformational experience for a business to go through what you're talking about. What has been some of the feedback?
Well, the feedback has been very positive. Obviously, the feedback in numbers has been good. Okay, the feedback indicating the positive nature of the feedback is I've gotten referrals from people that I've done this for. And the thing is again, as I mentioned to you, what I do as far as this complimentary 45-minute Zoom call, all it costs really a potential client in terms of if they have any interest in terms of growing their business, all it costs them is 45 minutes of their time. Okay. There's no other cost to it. And from there, they can see, is this going to be of value to them or not? And it's not for everybody. Some people will say yes, and some people will say no. But the people who say yes, it's a proven system, as you mentioned, and it does generate results for them.
What a great return on your time. We're talking 45 minutes. I can imagine the return on that time. And let's face it, we business owners, we're busy. We have to make time for marketing. How can your do-it-yourself online learning really make it easy to access your wealth of information, really 24/7, all from the comfort of our computer?
Well, one of the things when someone signs on with me to do coaching with them, one of the things they have access to is what you mentioned, which is an e-learning site that really covers in great detail all these actually 40 areas of opportunity and improvement, and goes into deeper detail as far as what are the tasks that are associated with being able to accomplish each of them. So it's kind of they get the report to show what the opportunity areas are, but they also get this e-learning center where they can go and see exactly what they got to do. Number one, number two, number three to develop the market dominating position. Number one, number two, number three to develop joint venture relationships with folks and what that can mean. So, as you said, the benefit to it as well is that they can use that and utilize that during the term of our engagement whenever they want to. Okay. And that's why, in terms of where I can work with people, it's pretty much via Zoom all over the world. Okay.
That's great. That's what I love about that. With technology like that, we're talking about an online access. It's available 24/7, 365 days a year. I mean, I know small business. Honestly, if you ask small business people out there what they need more than anything else, it is more clients and more revenue. I mean, your online academy is really like an MBA in business. I mean, that is amazing. How do these owners get started with you?
Well, obviously to get in touch with me and to they can email me. Probably that's the easiest way, which is very simple. It's Michael.Maziarek@gmail.com to set up a 45-minute Zoom call that I mentioned to you that's complimentary. That's really how people get started. Okay. They can also call me if they like to. My cell phone number is pretty easy to remember. It's 630-201-8400. Okay.
Right.
Either way, in terms of setting up a time that we can visit. And then as far as the details of accessing everything else, that's going to come as a product of, are they interested in proceeding or not? If they are, then there's a whole kind of onboarding process in terms of bringing a client on.
I mean, so you're really basic. We'll put all that information on the bottom of the screen right there so people can contact you. Michael, you bring to the table over 4 decades of experience in multiple industries. You've created one of the most powerful client attraction programs ever. Is this rewarding work for you?
The fact of the matter, Gary, people have asked me over the years, one question they've asked me, which I didn't know if I should take offense to, is why haven't you retired yet? Okay. And my answer to them is because I really, really enjoy what I'm doing. Okay. I really, really enjoy what I'm doing. And the reward, as I mentioned before, that's almost indescribable in words to me, is the ability to help people. What I heard early in my career, which is really I've seen to be true, is that they say the first third of your career you spend learning, the second third of your career you spend earning, and the final third of your career you should spend giving back. And to a great deal, that's what I'm doing right now.
Thank you. I have to thank you for not retiring. That is great. You have too much of a wealth of information. Guys like you don't retire. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. You can see all the coaching services they provide right there. I mean, this professional has a special talent, really, for creating competition-crushing marketing. I mean, if you're ready to expose the flaws in your marketing and reveal hidden revenue, then you want to reach out today. Once again, that is your marketing coach, Michael, with the Full Circle Consulting Group. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.